So there are lots of great things to see here at Silver Dollar City, from the shops to the shows to the food. But in this video, we're going to show you my favorite thing to do here at Silver Dollar City, and that is the roller coasters. I'm the legend for In the Loop, and this is the roller coasters of Silver Dollar City. So let's kick off the coaster tour here at Silver Dollar City by talking about Time Traveler, and that's the park's newest roller coaster. This opened earlier this year, $27 million, and it's a launched Mack spinning coaster, and it's very, very different. I've been on this I've had three rides on this so far, and I think I like it a little bit better each time. I would say it's not my personal favorite roller coaster in the park, but from a guy that's been on 550 roller coasters, I would say it is very, very different. I don't think I've ever been on anything like Time Traveler, and I quite enjoy it. The trains are beautiful, the station's very cool, the ride is very smooth, and you get some more forces in the back row or the front row. If you're sitting in one of those two middle rows, you don't really feel a whole lot, and that's kind of the problem I've had with some of the Mack rides. They feel a bit slow, and Time Traveler is no exception there, but it's very different, and I kind of like it. I wouldn't have spent $27 million on it, but I would say it's a fun ride. Molly, what do you think of this one?
The station is beautiful. I love the station.
And the cars are adorable.
I like the front row. Front row is my favorite. I love like the views that you get.
Yeah.
I agree, definitely not the middle, either the front or the back, but I choose the front.
All right, let's see what's next. Up next is my favorite ride in the park, by far my favorite ride in the park, and that is Outlaw Run. Big, gigantic RMC wooden coaster out in the back of the park, really kind of off by its own, in the woods, great views of the mountains, and this thing, some really good airtime moments, crazy double barrel roll finale. I'm a big fan of Outlaw Run. I've been on 500 plus roller coasters. It's my third favorite wooden coaster anywhere. By far my favorite ride here. Not the best RMC anymore. You know, I Twisted Colossus, and especially thanks, train. Steel Vengeance and is by far like miles above better. One drawback of Outlaw Run, short ride. By the time you drop off the lift, to the time you end, maybe 30 to 40 seconds. Feels very quick. Molly, this was your first trip riding this guy. What do you think?
I think it's a really good ride. I agree. It's probably the best in the park. However, I feel like it doesn't fit with this park.
Yes.
Like it's way too...
it's a very intense roller coaster in a park, and a clientele that doesn't really do intense rides.
Right, but I do agree it's probably the best ride in the park.
Oh yeah.
By far.
And we get to come back and do a night ride even though it might be cold, right?
Sure.
Yay! Time to talk about Powder Keg, which is the park's family launch coaster, built by S&S, and I like it a lot. It combines, you got a launch to start at the beginning, and then you got a more traditional chain lift and drop in the middle towards the second half of the ride. And I like this a lot, no over-the-shoulder restraints, and like a lot of the coasters here at Silver Dollar City, the view is amazing. When you go over the the big launch airtime hill, you just can see for miles with the Ozark Mountains. It is absolutely beautiful. One thing I love about this ride is its wacky history, where part of the track is reused from an old flume ride / roller coaster called Buzzsaw Falls. So when you're on the ride, you'll notice two different types of track. You'll have the more modern looking track that looks like this, and then you'll see a much more a thinner track with a cross hatching on it, and that actually came from the old log flume ride. And then they have tributes to the log flume ride too, like when you're in the queue, you can see one of the old log flume boats is crashed into the one of the queue houses. The coaster actually has some neat theming elements, not necessarily while you're on the ride, but more so when you're kind of watching the ride go. There'll be different flame effects that goes off, and different flame effects that go off on different launches to infuriate people trying to film for their YouTube channel. And man, there's more weird stuff about this ride too. They've got this crazy vertical spike that is used. It's not used at all. It's essentially just there in case the train were to roll back. So I like this ride. This is probably my second favorite ride in the park. And the best part for me is the view. The launch and the airtime is pretty good too. Molly, what do you think about the Powder Keg?
I think it's interesting. It's definitely interesting whenever you go into the station, you go up the hill.
Yeah, it has
how they move the track.
Big lateral upward movement thing, like a wacky elevator.
Like you don't see that much.
No.
It's very unique. Overall, I think it's a pretty good roller coaster. I do think it's weird that the elements you can't see on the ride. It's more for people who are viewing the ride.
Yeah, it's definitely weird that the theming elements do that kind of stuff. But overall, I give this ride a thumbs up. Second favorite in the park for me. So as the sun sets over the Ozarks, it's time to talk about Wildfire, the park's B&M sit-down roller coaster. And the best part about this roller coaster, it is by far the views. It's positioned right on the edge of the park, on a hill, so you can just see for absolutely forever. And I've been on 553 roller coasters as of today, and this is, you know, one of the ones with the best views that I've ever seen. Layout is kind of standard B&M stuff, but still good. Getting a little headbanging in its old age, but thankfully with it being so cold here, I'm wearing a winter hat, so that really takes care of most of it. But the big thing for this roller coaster, it is those views you get, and it's what really makes it unique. Molly, this one probably not your favorite.
Well, it's not my favorite, but I agree. The views are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Especially with the sunset.
Yeah, definitely. Try and ride this one. Definitely ride this one during the day or at sunset. At night, it would definitely lose some effect. All right, let's see what's next. Also, Wildfire wins for the best gift shop theming at Silver Dollar City as far as the coasters go. This crazy airship kind of thing. Now it's time to talk about Thunderation, the park's mine train roller coaster. And the most interesting thing about Thunderation is that it starts at the top of the hill. Most roller coasters, you go through a big chain lift or a launch. This one, nope, you start the action as soon as you roll out of the station. I will say this is one of the rougher rides in the park, and like many of these old aero mine trains, you want to try and sit in a middle row. Do not sit in a wheel seat, as that will result in the ride being much, much rougher. Made the mistake of doing that on this trip, and that was not a fun time. So fun ride, but definitely sit in a middle row. In this building here is Fire in the Hole, the park's indoor roller coaster slash dark ride. Really more a dark ride than a roller coaster, but still a fun time. This is one you can take your little kids on, you can take grandma on. It's very gentle. Not the best as far as theming goes. Would love to see like Garner Holt or somebody come in and really bring some life to it. Does have the water finale, which is fantastic.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Water got in my eye, and I was like, that's not a laser.
No, we're too used to Dollywood. So last and absolutely least on the scale of roller coasters is the Great Expedition Coaster, the park's kids coaster. Over here in the far corner of the park. Nothing special about this one. It's your standard kids coaster. If you're a coaster credit person, yes, adults can ride without kids. So if you're somebody who's important to that kind of thing, you can go and do it. Skipping this one on this trip, already got the credit, but it's there for you if you need it.